you have given me a chance and I am grateful. I am calling you from one of the many villages of North Bihar from near Indo-Nepal border. We have the greatest honor of being one of the most underdeveloped regions of the world. Okay, in the age of Chandrayaan and G20, here we are without a lot of things which you take for granted. But then air is wonderful here, water is great. You get a lot of food, fruits, vegetables, which is as God made them. And well, we have a lot of fun. I think whatever else was worth saying or knowing about me has been with slight exaggeration already reported by our very dear friend Arunji. And I wish the group all the very best. I have seen the profile of members in the group, and it's indeed a privilege that I am also a part of your group. Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you.
Just before I let you go, sir, would you be taking the session on 17th of September for us?
I would love to. Let me listen to you people today, and then, I will try and see if I have something worth telling, the likes of you. I am not sure just now if I have anything such that you do not know. But, well, let us see. I hope, you will be as generous to me as I believe you have been to many others. And I will definitely like to share a few things, thoughts, with your approval, of course.
Yeah, before I let him go, apart from many reasons, his background as a professor, and basically what is very close to my heart is his contribution to the people around him. The other reason also, which I think I asked him, was he has written a voluminous book on the foreign languages and the foreigners in India. And the book traces the history of how language evolved inside India because of the impact of foreigners. And I'm very sure English is one of them. And we have issues in communication because of the language, isn't it? I mean, that doesn't have to say. So I was expecting him to speak on his, but Shirish said, it will be absolutely our pleasure to hear from you whatever you have to say, whatever way you want to say, right, sir?
Okay, I will, mail you a couple of topics, and subject to your approval, let me try. But there can be topics which can interest all of us, things like education, standards of education, or overemphasis upon certain kinds of education, and almost no attention to certain other kinds. So there are lots of issues facing us in India, more than the government. You see, I'm perhaps, please pardon me if I sound cynical, governments, politicians are not known to be milk white or honey sweet anywhere, because they poor people, they are in that kind of profession. One of the first prime ministers of the world said corruption is inevitable in democracy. But the problem in India is that it is likes of us, professors, lawyers, doctors, engineers, accountants, we all try to take a shortcut around the rules. What will happen to a country where even the so-called quote-unquote intellectuals do not go by intellect, do not go by dharma, but go by other things? So, there are, of course, topics for discussion. And I am not so much into metaphysics. I mean, soul and spirituality is a marvelous subject, but that is for meditation, that is for contemplation, rather than, in my opinion, for discussion and discourse. In public domain, we can discuss how best I can do what I am doing. So let us talk about that. I will send you a list of 2 or 3 topics, and depending upon your consent, depending upon the opinion of friends and colleagues, I can share whatever little I know. But please allow me to disabuse you. I'm nothing out of the ordinary, like thousands of other professors in this country. Maybe I was luckier. I worked at a place where we had the freedom to do what you choose to do. And maybe I was interested in some of those areas. Say, for instance, more importantly, no matter which aircraft you fly, which company you fly, no matter which airline you fly, your flight is being controlled by someone who has directly trained under me, air traffic controllers. At IIT Madras, we did air traffic control training and language part of it for nearly 11 years. But that is an English teacher's job. There is nothing out of the ordinary about it. Similarly, writing the history of foreign languages is a professor's job. You research. You ask yourself questions like, given the same condition, why somebody doesn't learn this same foreign language as well as somebody else does? And if you do not know, the government is not going to find answers. You have to. So, we have a tradition of learning foreign languages as old as this country itself is. So let us get back into it and see how people learned it. There is nothing extraordinary about it. But a group of intellectuals such as we are, we must also look into problems closer home. Is it that we need only education only in technology, only in medical sciences, not in humanities, not in law, not in literature and philosophy, not in pure theoretical sciences, mathematical sciences? Why do we as parents not encourage our children to at least know the difference between Rama and Krishna? So there are those issues, fundamental issues, and the government can do nothing about this. As it is, the government is doing much more than it can legitimately be expected to, and it is not doing what it is expected to. So, Arunji, please do not allow me to give a parallel talk. Okay, I will give you a list of topics, and depending upon what colleagues and friends say, whatever little I know, whatever data I have, we do not believe in theorizing. Let us share our data, let us share our experience, and then let us ask ourselves, I am sitting at a place where even today, an entire village doesn't have an email ID. An entire village doesn't know how to use a GPS because they have no reason to use a GPS. And here we are. I am not saying Chandrayaan is useless or G20 is useless or Bombay should change into a Pindaruch. Bombay must remain where Bombay is. But maybe once in a while, once in 365 days, maybe 2-3 people can come from there to here and teach the local youth how to take good photographs, how to write a balance sheet, how to do Excel or word processing. Maybe if you have a lot of phones in your home which are no longer being used, maybe you can think of me. I am here with a bag waiting to receive those old phones, old laptops, old storybooks. Your time, your money, your thought, anything is welcome, because I am talking not about myself or only my village. Even today, if you look at the Google map of India at night, you will know India is no longer, as it never was, only one country. It's a group of islands of overdevelopment, underdevelopment, and therefore it is in your interest. If you do not want Bombay to get overcrowded, please share your expertise, share your thoughts. More than anything else, share your concern also with us. Okay? And I can promise you only one thing. You will enjoy this experience. You will be proud of this experience. Maybe for the first time, many of us will breathe pure air, drink water as God made it. Okay. And at the same time, you will also leave your imprint. And we have not just one village. Entire India between Varanasi and Guwahati, between Kathmandu and Cuttack. I don't count Bangladesh, Kathmandu, and other things as another country. Today, this regional boundaries or national boundaries are as redundant as the boundary between Gujarat and Maharashtra. It's all in your mind. Okay, the internet, the 24-hour television, the flow of words and people have proved beyond doubt that if one person in one city in China is under threat, the entire world is under threat. Let's have no illusions about that. So, we cannot remain islands of excellence. We must share our excellence. We must share our neighbor's poverty. And we must grow together. You guys, you ladies and gentlemen are so gifted. I was looking at your profiles and awesome. That's the only word I can. It's a cliche, but I couldn't find a better word. It's awesome. There is nothing that people in this group have not done. If even each of you gave us 1 week in some of these places, you will transform India without spending a rupee. But then, it's something we have to decide. You have to lot. Some people ask me, my friends ask me in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, why your village? Why this? Why? I say, look, I don't have an answer. Please help me find an answer. I will give you that answer. If you have enough work in your village, please don't come. But if you haven't, if you have some time to spare, if you have already 2 cell phones, another is lying useless, then think of us. Maybe somebody here can take it, learn to write, English alphabet there, learn the spelling of give and take, and maybe we'll thank you or may not thank you. I cannot give you guarantee because, as E.M. Forster said, trust is a luxury which poor people don't have. I can't guarantee nothing to you except that you will enjoy this experience. Sorry, Arunji, please
Yeah,
allow me
okay.
to. Yeah,
Yes.
I feel guilty. Allow
Yeah.
me to stop here.
No, it's okay, sir. I mean, there is no guilt about it. Guilt is a luxury we can't afford right now. Or other guilt is a luxury we should all be affording after what I heard from you.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Anything,
yeah.
your time, your thoughts, your concern. If you give some
So
training to
please,
your people,
please use yourself, sir. Anybody has an immediate first reaction to what Dr. Chaudhary said? Any one of you, please unmute and start speaking. The number is not very high today, so don't have to raise. Dr. Jha, you have just raised your hand. Dr. Jha, please unmute yourself and speak. Dr. Jha, yes, I can see you. Please
Yes,
unmute yourself. Please.
I have already unmuted myself. As I shared with you, I'm traveling today. I'm in a train, so there may be some issues with the network. But if you can hear me, I'm so pleased and happy that Dr. Chaudhary joined us today. I just wanted to say a few lines about what he is doing and what he expects us to do. He is in a village in a very backward district, one of the most backward districts of India, I would say, Bihar, Darbhanga. I am in a state capital, the city of Ranchi, the state capital of Jharkhand. It's no better than where Dr. Chaudhary is working. It's an overgrown village. That is how I describe Ranchi. And the kind of work that he's doing there needs to be done in Ranchi, except for the 5 kilometer radius around the center of Ranchi called Firayalal Chowk. If you go beyond that, you find the conditions same as they are in Dr. Chaudhary's village. And maybe other people in this group don't know me, but Arunji knows me, Dr. Sirish Chaudhary knows me, and many others will get acquainted as we meet more often, talk to each other, discuss our ideas, we'll get to know each other. But those who know me, that the same kind of work is being done by people who are not necessarily in the government sector or associated with a registered NGO on their own, individually or in small groups. And that is in the sphere of health, in the sphere of education, providing adequate nutrition to some of our players in hockey and football. Jharkhand is so rich in talent and at the same time so poor that we cannot, the government and the NGOs, so-called NGOs, cannot even provide wholesome meals to the would-be Olympians from this place. And I'm talking of places not far off from the state capital. Even the state capital have those jhuggi, jhoparis and slums, and the conditions are no better than they might be in Pindaroj, where Dr. Chaudhary is working. So, yes, these are areas where we have to work on ground with people who are not so privileged. And then, for our own sake, for the sake of society at large, yes, sir, we have to uh, have some intellectual interaction amongst us. It may be about dharma, it may be about spirituality, it may be metaphysics, it may be pure physics. But then everybody may not be so proficient in all these stuff. It literature, why not? Current modern day, current political trends, the retrogressive trends that worry citizens like us. We can discuss a lot many things, and maybe collectively, individually, we can help one or many persons and enrich ourselves. If we become better individuals at the end of this year, the purpose of this group would be served. Thank you, sir. Since I am
Thank you.
traveling, I'm not very sure whether I'm audible or not, and because network issues are there when you are on a train. Thank you, sir.
We heard loud and clear, Dr. Jha, so don't worry about it. Every word that you spoke was clear to us. Before I go to Pankaj Mani, who has raised the hand, I mean, those who are almost everybody here is a friend of mine, barring two or three, and my one line which has been all along in last 20 or 25 years of our association. Well, this is the problem. This is the exact situation. The question is, what do we do about it? What do we do about it? Like Shirish sir is talking about what Jhaji, we have been doing our own. So maybe next week or next to next week, you can tell me what can you do of your own. And that will be a more fruitful end of this discussion than otherwise. We all know what the problem is. As Karl Marx had said, we all know what the problem is. The idea is to find a solution. We cannot solve all the problems. Let us meet next time and maybe for 15 minutes and hear from you what can you immediately or maybe 1 month later or maybe sometime later can do something about it. Now, so let's come back to what we wanted to conclude today about calling. I had given the questions. Unfortunately, not the younger ones for whom the session was basically oriented are there. But nonetheless, we shall carry forward. Pankaj, you want to say something? Please be brief about it. Pankaj, unmute yourself. Pankaj, unmute yourself.
Yes, yes. Thank you for the opportunity, sir. So, Professor Sirish has talked wonderfully about the things. Basically, I also belong to the same place, Darbhanga, Bihar. Okay, so what I would like to say that personally, I feel that there are two types of richness: natural and artificial. The village life might be artificially poor or something like that in terms of infrastructure and all those things, artificial. But naturally, they are very rich. And personally, I stay in Delhi. But whenever I do I'm into research work, and whenever I feel time, I just go for a month in to stay in villages, due to peace of mind, due to the those environment and all those things that are.
Pankaj, would you be kindly brief about it because we have not yet started the session. Just briefly, please make your point briefly.
Sure. So that's why I just want to say that let's not try to make the rural life just copy what is going on in urban. Rather, try to make a balance out of it. That's what I just wanted to say.
And how do we make the balance? That we shall talk about later on. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Last time we had talked about calling, and we all knew what Mandeep sir has spoken about. I had also requested some of the members here to talk about. Kakku, that is Avdesh, is traveling from Toronto to India, so he requested me to excuse him, and that is okay. The entire group was formed. Everybody in the group was unanimous. The children wanted to learn, but the number of bigger children was very, very high, right? From 72 years of age to maybe 50 years of age. And they will understand when I'm going to say that when we talked about calling, it had nothing to do either with spirituality or literature or physics or metaphysics. Basically, the calling was trying to find out, can we find some answers from the universe? If you don't want the word universe, you can use any word. I'm not specifically inclined to use a particular word. We are all, at some point of the time, are looking for answers. Sometimes the universe gives the answers through somebody else's discussion or some book that we might read. We might like to emulate a other person who is doing. All of those put together I call calling. When people define calling, I did not define it as many words. I don't need to define. Calling is something which comes from intuitively. It may also be reflective from outside. Whatever you define. Give me 1 more minute before I come to what I want to say. And I did not mention last time, but I want to mention right here. So this calling is different than wish or the ambition. The wish or the ambition is my own personal responsibility. I have a wish. I have an ambition. It becomes my responsibility alone to fulfill that wish because I own that wish. When I chose the wish, I knew what are the problems I am going to face in fulfilling the wish. I knew what are my limitations and what are the limitations from the society. Having known that, I decided to choose that path. So that I call wish or an ambition. It is not God's or universal consciousness responsibility to keep on fulfilling everybody's wish. But when we have been talking about calling, I am repeating that calling we are talking about, which just intuitively, maybe from others, maybe from books, and these callings at times show us the light. They show us the light. So the entire purpose, hopefully we shall do it this time or maybe sometime later, is can we do something to make our own subconscious or antenna transparent and receptive enough to be able to receive the callings and to be able to send some callings to others. Shirish Chaudhary is trying to send us a calling. It should be clear to all of us. Some of us would have received, some wouldn't. Some received but do not want to follow. He was sending a calling. We need a transparent, clear antenna of ours to receive that. So Shirish sir's antenna was sending the signal. We were at the receiving end. So if you maybe make our subconscious transparent or antenna transparent, we can also send signals which will perhaps be received by some people very effectively. Dr. Jha or Chintan, at least some of you knew how people responded to my calling. When the first time I sent them calling for helping a girl in Tamil Nadu who got admission but couldn't afford her education, or later on farmers movement or COVID, or helping the Jharkhand girls give them nutritional food, that was the calling I sent. That calling was sent by me, and it was received much more than I could imagine, including forming of the group. Equally important is, are we able to receive the callings? Why? I think we know the answer. They help us. They make us see the light. They help us resolve the conflicts that we normally have. That is why they calling. Do we need the calling? No, don't need the calling. If somebody says, I do not need the calling, we do not need the calling. As again, the idea was, what do we do if at all we want to receive a calling which would guide me to do what I shall do? And if I shall do, that is where it becomes the responsibility of God or the universal consciousness to fulfill it, because He has sent the calling to you. So the question is, what do I do to do it? So to be able to do that, we started with jap, chanting. Mandeep said what he said. Kakku, maybe we'll say next time what he said. Dr. S.D. Sharan wrote what he had to wrote about jap. The one most important reason of jap is in your mind, two things cannot stay at the same time. At no place, two things can stay at the same time. So when you are chanting, at least for that point of time, there are no distractions, no conflicts in your mind. That makes your mind and heart cooler. Dilip Trivedi ji immediately concluded his there that I just did hum for 5 minutes and my heartbeat has gone down. That is it. What does jap do? It makes you quieter in mind, in your heart, maybe decreasing the BP. That's right. Mandeep had taken it to a different level that once you are japping his name, he could be Allah or Ishwar. Even if you don't believe in God, you are just talking about, there is a universal consciousness hearing. Let us call him, let us call the UC he. He starts tuning itself to come to the same frequency as yours. Perhaps he will ask you to do something. And if it is really a true calling, we shall talk about true or not true later on, then perhaps he makes your ways clearer. There are people who have told me we did not know what to do here, and suddenly some idea came. So he does make the path clearer. So one way of doing was jap. Second was kirat, doing your job as far as possible in a right way. Seva, I think without my initiating what Dr. Shirish Chaudhary said, and what calling am I getting, that probably this session is going towards seva, service. And for once, I am the one who is most convinced about the importance of extending ourselves to others, seva. He was talking about seva, Chintan was talking about seva, Pankaj mentioned about it, Dr. Rajchandra Jha mentioned about it. Take it from me, and I do not need to give you any algorithm. One person who you really helped without any expectation, it is as good as doing a jump of maybe for half an hour, or the satisfaction of having taught well or having helped your company earn $1 million, or professionally, the satisfaction is exactly same as you do some service to one person. More you do, more quiet in mind you become, more relaxed you become, less conflicted you are, and then perhaps you have developed your subconscious or cleared your antenna to receive the calling from the universe and to send the calling which people around you will receive. So now I would like to, since we have talked about seva, still if somebody wants to talk about seva or the calling, please raise your hand, or don't even have to raise your hand, unmute yourself and please add. Dipankar? Dipankar, are you there? Okay, Ashutosh, you can take over from here.
I'm here, but I don't know what to add.
Okay. Ashutosh, would you like to add something here?
Arun sir, earlier you had assigned me a session, and of course at that time I felt like a backbencher being prodded by the class teacher to come and speak in front of everyone. So if it is okay, calling is something which becomes a little abstract for me. I don't know whether I have received it so far or not, or what I have been doing, or something which I did and then I had to withdraw. So all those things form part of it or not. But then I would like to divert to a different area as was discussed with you. So if you want me to speak about those experiences, then I can talk those things.
Ashutosh, just go ahead, because if I hadn't wanted, I wouldn't have told you. Just also please introduce once again about your experience in the Indian Air Force. And to my mind, that was your calling. And when you left that and joined the corporate, that was your calling. And right now that you are involved in teaching English to the hockey playing girls in Jharkhand or helping, that is still your calling. So calling is everything that you do after a consideration. So that was your calling. So please go ahead and freely speak about those.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's a real privilege to be amongst the such a learned group of audience. In fact, what I'm going to talk probably would have been useful to the youngsters. And usually my target audience is within the age group of 20 to 30 years. But since the more learned people are here, I would expect their comments and anything that they would like to add or the kind of inputs that I receive would help me. So first of all, a very, very brief introduction about me. I'm Ashutosh. Most of my life I've spent in Indian Air Force as an engineering officer. I retired or took premature retirement at the rank of group captain. Prior to joining Air Force, I had done my engineering from BIT Misra, Ranchi, and then Air Force gave me a lot of learning opportunity, the kind of opportunities that I could never have thought of. In the field of technical expertise, I was able to do my post-graduation from IIT Delhi and do a staff college, which is called Tri-Services Strategic Defense Management course, which is at Wellington. So all these things were God's gift through Air Force to me, and I had a lot of learning over there. After Air Force, I had a very brief instant again at IIT Delhi. I had joined there as a full-time research scholar. That's a different story. I spent 2 years there, did some work, and then I switched over to the industry. I was in IBM for 7 years, and this February, I retired on attaining 58 years of age. So that is in very brief the journey of my life. I have a small family, my wife and my son. Son is located in Germany. So I stay in Noida with my wife. That's about me. Now coming to what I wanted to talk, it's something related to the various experiences that I had in life. And as I said earlier, I thought that these experiences would have been of interest mainly to the youngsters. And I don't know how many of them are here. But anyway, I think I will take this opportunity. I'll take this liberty of sharing those experiences with the team. So before I start, there's a popular joke that not all the stories start with once upon a time. And Fauzies are very good at telling stories. Their stories usually start like when I was posted there, or if you are at a very senior rank, you will say that when I was commanding so and so. So please pardon me for such things if such phrases come out of my talk. So that is inherent and I can't help it. Okay, so be that as it may. Now, the first thing which comes to my mind is the date 31st of October 1984. I was not in Air Force. I was still a student of BIT Misra Ranchi. I think it was our fifth semester. 31st October happened to be the last day of Chhath festival. And I think many people are here from Bihar and will recollect that the last day of Chhath festival is very important because it is the Padna day and you get prasad and all the holidays come to an end. So our college holidays were coming to an end. Next day I was supposed to take a bus from Muzaffarpur and go to Ranchi to join my classes, which were starting after a day or two. But as I left my village, on the way, I could hear on All India Radio that there has been a major disaster. Our Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, had been, at that time, the news was that she has been attacked and she's injured. So anyway, by the time I reached Muzaffarpur, my journey came to an end, that the news was out that she has been assassinated. And there was chaos all around. Even a small place like Muzaffarpur, a peaceful place like Muzaffarpur, a lot of disturbances. So the story that I'm going to share, I wanted to give this background. Though I'm not part of this story, but I have almost a first-hand account. Old timers of Ranchi will recollect that there was only one train connecting Ranchi with North India. That was Amritsar Hatia Express. And please stop me anytime you feel like interjecting or correcting me, or you feel that I'm boring, or maybe I could change the topic. So please.
Ashutosh, rest assured, you know that, I mean, I have done that, so please do not even speak about it. Please continue with your pre-joining IAF experience, and that's very, very wonderful. Please don't even think that you are disturbing. Please go ahead.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. So this is the story of 31st of October 1984, and this was the train Amritsar Hatia Express. A group of my classmates, they were all traveling in that train from all the places in the north, like somewhere from Chandigarh, Delhi, or western part of UP. People were boarding the train, and they all knew that there is a particular compartment in which our college mates or friends are there. So those days, though the girls being engineering students were not very common, but we had in our group, in our batch, somewhere around 15-20 girls, and many of them were from the North India. So that day, when all these people were traveling in the train, there were some boys and some girls. And amongst them, one of our classmates was there. He was a Sikh gentleman. On the way, these people came to know that such a disaster has happened, and people from a particular community are being targeted, basically Sikh community. So as the train reached UP, in fact, they had already crossed Delhi. I don't know, I don't recollect whether a train passes through Delhi or not, but that part of the country the train had crossed. And by the time it entered Western UP, the attacks had started. People of Sikh community were being searched around, and they were being attacked. So now the immediate crisis, or the contingency which was to be handled by those 15-20 students, around 10 girls and 10 boys or so, was to how to protect our classmate who was a Sikh gentleman. And mind you, all of them were barely in the age group of 19 to 20 years. So as the train reached, I think somewhere around Kanpur or so, it became even more evident that there's going to be an attack on the train. Now, there was a real crisis, and they had to handle and somehow safeguard our friend. So before I proceed with the story, I would like to hear from the audience here, from the people. Do you think, can you imagine what they could have done to protect that friend of ours? Any ideas what they could have done? Sir,
Everyone wants to butt in, please come in. Just unmute and come in. Don't have to raise your hands. Pankaj.
They could have saved the head and made some changes maybe.
Yeah, exactly. You are bingo. You are on the target, Pankaj. So, but mind you, that was not so simple, because somebody has been brought up in an environment and with a belief that it is normal to be like this, and we all have our religious beliefs, and we all had been brought up in the environment which was conducive, and everyone knew what to be done. So the first point here was, who is going to tell the gentleman, the friend of ours, that this is what is the remedy. So the girl took charge, and mind you, by then the railway station was already crowded, and the hooligans were going from compartment to compartment looking for the kind of target they were looking for. So some of our fellows, some of our boys, they stood guard at the gate, and two of the girls took that boy to the bathroom. They had a pair of scissors, and with a very heavy heart, they cut off. They cut his hair. They had to remove the turban, cut his hair. He was very upset. But then they had to convince him. They had to tell him that, see, if it is not the question of only your safety, if those hooligans come inside, they will not spare us also, because they will find us along with you, and so anything can happen to us. So he, with a lot of grief in his heart, I can imagine, he agreed, and they prepared him. No, they cut his hair and removed his turban and everything, and they brought him safely to the campus, to BIT Misra campus, to the hostel. Now, going back to the time again, there were no mobile phones. Even landline phones were very rare. The way the girls rose to the occasion and the way they executed this entire task, I feel that in today's world, if something like this happens, then immediately everyone will say that the girls should get a bravery award. And mind you, all of us are now in the same WhatsApp group. Nobody talks about this incident because after 31st October 1984, nobody has talked about it. The person who was at the center of this entire issue, he's a very high-ranking executive. He's based out of London. He's in UK now. The impact that it had on all of us, and particularly that particular friend of ours, was, before this incident, he was a kind of loner. He was a recluse. Incidentally, he was our batch topper also. So he will not mix with people. He will not be, people come to him for help with some kind of problems in studies. He will not be very forthcoming, kind of thing that, yaar tu ja mujhe padhai karni hai, or something like that. But after this incident, we saw a completely changed person. He was a completely changed person. He started mixing around. He will go around. He will socialize with people. And of course, everyone was giving an example of this incident, how the unity of all the classmates or the students had helped the situation, helped set the situation. So that was the first learning that I had in my life, that come what may, human life is most important, and one has to rise to the occasion. One has to find a way how to resolve the issue, rather than thinking that somebody will come and help us, or it's not my job, or those kind of things. So this learning was extremely important for me, and it helped me later on in the life also. Okay. Now, fast forward 5 years, almost a similar situation. And the date is 21st of May 1991, 22nd of May 1991. Another tragedy struck the country, and that was, just to remind you, 21st May 1991 was the day when Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated in a bomb blast, in a suicide bomb blast in Sri Perambur, near Chennai. At that time, I was in service, and I was in a signal intelligence unit. I'm not going to share any secrets or classified information, so please be assured that I know that there are certain things which I need to restrict myself. So I'll speak only what I'm supposed to talk. So I was at a single intelligence unit and Far East, Northeast somewhere. And now at that place, most of the Air Force stations, they are family stations. Family stations in the sense that all the officers and airmen, they're permitted to stay with their families in the Air Force stations. Their family quarters, and they stay with the family. So on that fateful day, on 22nd, not on 21st May, 22nd of May, I was a duty officer. I was of the rank of flight lieutenant, which is a relatively junior rank. And duty officer is the duty which is performed generally by the junior ranking officers. Their job is to hold the fort after working hours, or on a holiday, when people are not in the office, they are not in the unit. Make sure that all the operations are being carried out as per the standard operating procedure. And if there are immediate messages or signals, then take action as appropriate. And if he feels that anything is not within his hand, then he reaches out to the commanding officer or other senior officer. So it so happened that I was a duty officer that day, and the orderly officer is a lower ranking officer who was basically very senior in age but junior in rank. So orderly officer came running to me, And he said that, sir, I've received a message from Corporal Vijayan that his family is being threatened. Now, the background is that in that particular Air Force station, there were not enough family accommodation. So there were some airmen who used to stay with their families in civil area. They had houses from local civil population and they used to stay there. When this news of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi's assassination reached to that far end, the message probably which was received was किसी मद्रासी लोगों ने मिलकर राजीव गांधी को मार दिया. Now anybody, even if he is a Telugu or Tamil or Malayali, he is a Madrasi. For people in the east, most of the local population were either Bengali or Gorkha or the local people, and most of them were semi-literate because Air Force stations are not in cities; they are very close to the villages, far away from the main habitation. So that kind of message had gone that some Madrasis have killed Rajiv Gandhi, and there was supposed to be kind of revengeful activities, if I may say so. I don't know whether those were politically motivated or whatever be the reason, but the orderly officer who came to me, much senior to me in age, warrant officer Sukhpal Singh, I remember. He was a Sardarji. He came to me and he said, "Sir, Corporal Vijayan ka ye message aaya, and what do I do?" So I did not think twice. I said immediately, prepare one tonner. One tonner is a small truck, covered truck with canvas and all. Those days it used to be produced by Nissan and supplied by the ordnance factory. So I got one vehicle prepared, put 2 armed guards there and 2-3 of my men in that vehicle. I sent the warrant officer along. I could not have left the unit because I was not supposed to. I was supposed to handle all the contingency by staying in the unit. So I sent him. I told him, go to Corporal Vijayan's house, pick him up and his family from there. And if within the Air Force station, if he has any friend with the family accommodation, drop him there. Otherwise, bring him to the unit and I will decide what is to be done with him. So he said, yes, sir. And I also cautioned him that don't pick up any fight with civilians. Let that situation not be so that you have to use your firearms. That is the last thing I would like to see. So please be extremely careful. I am sending you because you are a matured person, matured in age, and you can negotiate, you can talk to the people. So he went and he did exactly the way I had directed him. He came back with and he was able to find somebody within the Air Force station. He dropped Vijayan and his family and he came back. So I was very happy with him, and after everything was done, I made a call to commanding officer and I told him, sir, I have done this. This is what the contingency, and I did this. So he said, okay, fine. The communication was over. And the next day, when I was supposed to be handing over my duties and going back to mess, the next day's walking had started. So I walked into commanding officer's office. I saluted and gave him an account of whatever had happened the previous day. And, I'll be very honest, I was expecting a big pat on my back that good job done or well done or something like that. But I was in for a surprise. The commanding officer told me, son, if I were of your age, I would have done exactly the same thing. But what you have done may not be exactly correct. Because you sent your people with firearms to a civil area to handle an issue which comes under the purview of law and order and the local government. We in armed forces are not supposed to intervene unless we are specifically asked by the local government to do so. Now, if had there been any eventuality where your people had to use force, you had to use firearm, who will be answerable for that? It is you who will be blamed. But I said nothing. I didn't say anything to him. And more than 30 years have passed, 32 years to be precise. I retired at a rank which was much senior to my then commanding officer. And even today, I feel that if I'm faced with such a situation, my action will be exactly the same what I did on that particular day. So now I would like inputs from the audience that what should have been done. Was it correct to do the act in this manner, or should have been done in a different way? Okay, I see lots of thumbs up and raise. So
Dr. Jha has raised the hand. So please unmute yourself and go ahead, Jhaji.
Just one line to say that if I were in Ashutosh's position, I would have done the same thing. And he should not have any regrets about what he did. Whether technically and legally it was correct or not, it was ethically and morally the most correct thing to do. And if time permits, I have something to share and a question to ask to the whole gamut.
Jhaji, I also have a question. Did Mani raise the hands? Subramaniam? Subbu? Subbu, did you raise your hand? Did you have to ask a question? No, okay. Jhaji, please continue.
It was so pleasant getting introduced on this digital platform to Ashutosh ji and to hear his story, real life story. Since the session started a week back and about calling, I just want to share my story in short and then ask questions.
Dr. Jha, please, I ask for forgiveness for interrupting you. Probably had a question to Ashutosh, right? Why don't you first of all get over the question and get the answer?
No, not from Ashutosh.
Okay.
From all of you. When I narrate my story, I'll ask my question at the end of it. From all of you. And try to get an answer.
Sir, I have a question from Ashutosh. So, and I think we'll finish in 2 minutes or 1 minute, and then you please continue. I would love you to speak. Ashutosh, first question which I have in my mind was, when you took that action, were you aware of that procedure or protocol which your CEO told you about or not?
Sir, I'll be very honest about it. Firstly, all these things are taught to us during the training, the training that we undergo. Very emphatically and very clearly such actions are told. But one thing which supersedes all this is what we are taught is, as an officer, you are the leader of your men and they look upon you. Now, I only thought that if I did not act or did not act the way I acted, tomorrow I will not have the heart to face that man or to any of my men, because they will know that ये ऑफिसर हैं जिनके आदेश पे हम मरने के लिए तैयार होते हैं, और अभी हमारी जान की हिफाजत की बात होती है तो सिविल पुलिस के पास हमें भेज देंगे. Exactly this kind of thought crossed my mind, and later on when I became commanding officer, I did something like that, which I'll maybe some other day I'll talk about it. But yes, you are right, sir. We knew about it, but of course that thought did not cross my mind. The only thought that crossed my mind was I have to safeguard this person, even if there's a 20% threat. If the threat is not 100%, even if it is a 20% threat, I have to make sure that he and his family, his wife, his kids, they are safe. That is what I thought at that time.
Good, Ashutosh. I already knew the answer before I asked the question. This is for the members who are present here. Most of you would have guessed why I asked the question. I asked the question to become 100% sure that Ashutosh did know the answer. Ashutosh did know the protocol. He did know the protocol. And still he took a call. So that is much more than had he not known the protocol, he would have done something. Perhaps that was by chance. This was not by chance. He's having known the protocol, having known possibly also the fact that he may be reprimanded or maybe even he may have to face some consequences. And still he took that action. I wanted to make sure of that. and that is why he asked the question. This is what at times I call calling. Jhaji, you can go ahead. So I'm just repeating, please. I'm repeating because I need to repeat. I asked the question, although I knew the answer. So the answer is, this was the protocol, this was the method to be followed, this was the things to be followed. And if I do not follow it, obviously he's going against the rules and laws. So he will be not only reprimanded but punished. And still he took that call. I don't have to raise my salute to Ashutosh once again. But that's it. Dr. Jha, please take over.
It's my story. As I believe, learned people who have accomplished so much in their lives are in this group and might have.
Dr. Jha, again, I'm asking for forgiveness. Ashutosh has not yet finished, if I'm right. Ashutosh, tell me if I'm wrong. He had just taken a pause. So, Ashutosh, if you had not taken a pause and you had
Let him
completed,
finish.
of course,
No, sir.
but if you have taken a pause to continue, please continue.
No, Dr. Jha, please go ahead. Please complete whatever you wanted to say.
Yes.
And because I have many things, I can go on talking. Yeah, I can keep on boring people. But anyway, I'll like to hear from you, sir.
Yeah, Ashutosh, obviously Dr. Jha is very dear and I'm going to allow him, who am I to allow him to speak? But Ashutosh, please remember you have not answered the two precise questions I asked you. One was partly answered, and those two questions you will have to answer next time when we meet, if you don't have time this time. Am I clear to you, Ashutosh?
Sir, I'm sorry, I don't recollect. You asked me some question
Yeah,
earlier?
my questions were, what made you join the IAF? Second question was, what made you take the voluntary retirement? And the third question was, after you took the voluntary retirement, you are doing some things. Why are you doing what you are doing?
Okay.
I will allow Dr. Jha this time. And I think all of us were enthralled by listening to what you had to say. I can speak for each one of us. All of us were enthralled. And I'm equally, I'm responsible for speaking on their behalf. We shall be equally enthralled when you come to us again in the next session.
Right.
My questions are clear to you, Ashutosh, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And in fact,
you will answer them next class, right?
Right. I'll answer these questions.
Okay.
Definitely.
Dr. Jha, please take over.
By this time, you might know that I'm an orthopedic surgeon. But did I really? What was my calling? Right from the beginning, that Dr. Rachan, I was not a doctor, and Rachan should or would become a doctor. I was in standard 7, 8, 9 months. I managed to pursue a career being teacher or
Can we all hear?
I think there's a signal problem.
There seems to be a signal problem. Can we take your? Can we ask you to join us next time when the signal is proper, maybe from your home? We are not able to hear you, Jhaji, clearly.
Okay. I told you I'm traveling, so there would be problem. Okay, next time.
We are not able to hear. I'm sorry, Jhaji. Pankaj, you were saying something? Did you raise your hand?
No,
Please,
I was
please,
not.
Pankaj.
I was not saying. I was not saying that. Thank you.
Okay. So other than Jhaji, would somebody like to add up here, to add something more? We still have around 20 minutes of time. Somebody else?
Yeah. So I just
Please.
I just add that, see, I think that practically there are two things: the words of the law and the sense of the law. Okay. So every time, even if you, no matter what law you frame, okay, there will always be some different sense that would be correct as per the situation, that won't be covered by the words of the law. Okay. So I think it's very justified to talk in terms of sense of the law at times, rather than just blindly following the words of the law. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
We hear here Dr. Kanchan from Women's College. She had joined earlier. Are you there, Kanaklata ma'am? I can see her on the video. Dr. Kanaklata ma'am, are you there? आप हैं क्या वहां पर? Okay, it seems she is not there. I wanted Kanaklata ma'am to come for one
Yes,
reason.
sir. I am.
मैडम, हाँ जी हाँ,
Hello.
आप, हाँ, हम आपका स्वागत है मैम। अभी जरा कुछ अपने बारे में बताइए, और अभी आपने जो सेशन अगर सुना उसका आपकी कोई जो पहले प्रतिक्रिया है उस पर जरा हम लोगों को बताइए। आप हिंदी में बात करते और अंग्रेजी जिस भाषा में भी आपको सुविधा हो। जी हाँ मैम।
सर पूरा तो नहीं सुन पाए, 8 बजे से हम थे इस प्रोग्राम में।
अच्छा ठीक है, आप नहीं थी, मगर आशुतोष जी 2 घटनाओं का उन्होंने वर्णन किया और वो उसको आगे कैरी ओवर करेंगे कि उन्होंने उन घटनाओं से प्रेरित होकर के या किसी और कारण से इंडियन एयरफोर्स ज्वाइन किया। नंबर 2, उन्होंने वॉलंटरी रिटायरमेंट लिया तो क्यों लिया, और आगे के बारे में अभी आप हम लोगों को जो भी आप बताना चाहें बता सकती हैं। आई डोंट हैव टू कोच यू एट ऑल और क्वेश्चन।
नहीं, आशुतोष सर ने जो बताया वो बहुत प्रेरणादायी है। इट इज वेरी इनकरेजिंग फॉर अस। और मेरा अपना मानना है, और शायद सभी सहमत होंगे, कि जो भी रूल्स होते हैं या जो नियम होते हैं वो मनुष्य के लिए होते हैं, व्यक्ति के लिए होते हैं, और व्यक्ति नियम के लिए नहीं होता है। इसलिए अल्टीमेटली ह्यूमन लाइफ इज मोस्ट प्रेशियस थिंग, एंड every effort should be to protect a human being and humanity. This is my opinion. और मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है सुनना आप सबसे। अब मैं चाहती हूँ कि मैं अभी सुनूं। मेरे पास बोलने के लिए भी बहुत कुछ नहीं है, मैं सुनना चाहती हूँ, मैं सीखना चाहती हूँ।
अच्छा, सिर्फ एक बात, हम लोगों ने एक चैप्टर के बारे में, कॉलिंग के बारे में बात की थी, तो आपने कुछ सवाल मुझसे पूछे थे, तो आप चाहे तो ये सवाल सबसे भी पूछ सकती हैं। अगर सवाल पूछने और आज के दौरान कुछ आपके मन में उत्तर आ गया हो तो आप उत्तर भी शेयर कर सकती हैं, आपकी मर्जी।
मुझे मैं क्या कहूँ, मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है अभी कॉलिंग पर।
अच्छा ठीक है, कोई बात
लाइफ में मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जो भी ऐसा काम हमें लगे कि नहीं ये काम हम अच्छा से, हम मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है, या कोई ऐसा काम जो कि कोई आर्थिक लाभ न भी हो, फाइनेंशियल कुछ गेन न भी हो, तब भी हम करना चाहें, तो मुझे लगता है कि शायद ये हमारी कॉलिंग होती है। शायद हमारी आत्मा ये चाहती है, हमारा इंट्यूशन ये चाहता है कि हम ये करें, जो करने के लिए हम ये सोचते नहीं है कि व्हाट इज गोइंग टू बी, what we are going to gain or what we are going to lose। बस लगता है कि नहीं, हाँ ये करना है, अच्छा लग रहा है, और खुद के लिए भी, और साथ ही साथ कोई भी ऐसा काम जो सबके लिए अच्छा हो, जिससे सबको, बस मुझे तो यही लगता है कि यही शायद कॉलिंग होगी। मुझे तो ऐसे कोई स्पिरिचुअल जो अनुभव होता है आज तक कभी कुछ हुआ नहीं। मैं ये दावा भी नहीं कर सकती हूँ कि हाँ मुझे कोई कॉलिंग मिली है। हाँ ऐसा लगता है कि अगर जो ठीक ठाक अपना जो भी लग रहा है कि करना है वो कर देना है, और क्या है, जिससे कि ना खुद का नुकसान हो ना दूसरों का नुकसान हो। ज्यादा तो मुझे आता नहीं है।
मनी ने लास्ट टाइम कीड़ा की बात की थी, अभी सरिता मैडम पर मैं आऊंगा। मनी ने कीड़ा की बात की थी और सब लोगों ने ह्यूजली अप्रिशिएट किया था। दैट इज इट। ये कीड़ा है, जो कीड़ा काटता है तो मैं उस काम को किए बिना नहीं रह सकता हूँ। आई डू नॉट थिंक अबाउट लॉस, आई डू नॉट थिंक अबाउट गेन, एंड आई थिंक दैट वर्ड यूज्ड बाय मनी कीड़ा वाज वेरी वेल रिसीव्ड बाय ऑल ऑफ अस। सो द ह्यूमैनिटी, जहां तक इसमें एक ही लाइन ऐड करूंगा, मैं ह्यूमैनिटी के बारे में भी नहीं सोचता हूँ। अगर मुझे ये काम करना है तो करना है, उससे मेरा फायदा हो या ह्यूमैनिटी का भी फायदा हो, वो भी मैं नहीं सोचता हूँ। आई थिंक आई एम मोर ऑन मनी और मोर ऑन आशुतोष, कि उसने कॉल लिया तो कॉल लिया, उससे किसका फायदा हो। आपकी पहली बात से मैं सहमत हूँ, अपना तो नहीं हो, किसी और का भी हो तो अच्छी बात है। रीजन ऑफ डूइंग इज आई कैनॉट लिव विदाउट डूइंग इट। So Sarita ma'am, now would you like to come about your take on calling, which we have been talking about for some time? Please unmute yourself. Dr. Sarita, please unmute yourself.
So I don't know what calling is, but I do have intense desire that despite the fact that I have achieved what I wanted to achieve and I have everything, successful career, family, children are well established, good home, good cars, everything what I wanted to in general I have. But sometimes I do feel very restless and feel like something is missing in my life. And I think I am at a stage where I really want to know what is my calling. So I'm exploring everything to look around how people actually know that what is calling, what their call is. And so ultimately, number one, I didn't even know what calling is. So Arun Roy, we are related, but we didn't know each other. And one day after my daughter got married, we were just calling everyone to thanks for coming in my daughter's marriage. And he suddenly asked me, I would like to send you, I'm writing a book and I want to send you some chapters and let me know what you think. So first he sent me his like an initial preamble, and I told him I didn't like much. I was just being honest. And then after that, he sent some chapters. And one of the chapter was about a 20-year-old boy who literally left everything. And he was visiting in this ashram. Dr. Arun Rai was visiting in that ashram. And he saw that boy, and he was a monk. Sorry, I'm getting very emotional right now.
Okay. I mean, if you want to continue, otherwise, we shall continue in the next session. Or you want to continue? Okay, we shall take the next session. I mean, the choice is yours, Sarita ma'am.
While Sarita ma'am is getting ready, Mr. Ashok Das, sir, you are sharing your screen. I think by mistake you pressed that button. So,
Actually, I just wanted to now invite Ashok Das. So if he's there, Ashok, if you can hearing me, please unmute yourself and come on the screen. Ashok, I'm not able to see him. Ashok, are you there?
I'm there, Arun. I'm there. Can you hear me, Arun?
So yeah, we can hear you. Please start speaking what you have to say. Maybe you'll come on the screen automatically. Ashok,
Are you able to see me, Arun?
no, I'm not able to see you. That doesn't matter.
you have to stop
Ashok,
sharing.
can you see him?
Just press stop sharing, sir.
Share their screen. He has shared their screen.
Stop sharing. You have to press stop sharing, then we can see you. Your camera is on. Yeah, now it is okay. Now it is good.
Now
You can switch on your camera now.
Ashok,
Hi. Arun, you can see me and hear me also?
I can hear you, but I'm not able to see you. Only I can see a photograph of yours.
Now I think you can.
Yeah, now we can all see you. Ashok Das.
Hello, everybody. Yes.
Hi.
Yeah. So I have been listening the people in the group very attentively, and it is more pleasant to listen than to speak here, because everyone seems to be so much knowledgeable and possessed with all human virtues. For me, I did not have any plan as such what to do in life. Everything went happening without my knowledge, almost you can say like that. So how to complete education, how to get a job, how to support the family, things went on like that. Finally, I joined engineering services, UPSC engineering services in 1980 January, and they retired in 2015 December from the Department of Telecommunication. This 35 years in government, it passed with a lot of events in between. And as you know, government job, many people say it is very monotonous or dry but it has got lot of diversity also, which no other job provides you. So we had varied experience of the absorbed society and the public, meeting all sorts of people and dealing with all types of persons, and sometimes politicians too. Of course, in my department, we had very little interaction with politicians. Finally, for me, I feel that abiding by truth is the only thing which gives us a sound sleep in night. And every day, every moment, I kept aggressively helping truth and making truth win in my office and in all my activity. And everything comes after that. Of course, humanity is a big virtue. Every human being is equal, and every human being has got qualities, and we have to recognize that. I don't think I am capable of speaking more on this topic, which is very difficult actually, as such. So that's all about me. So I think I have done with that, Arun. Is that okay, Arun?
Arun sir, I think you are on mute.
Hello.
Yeah.
Ashok, are you on mute? Please unmute. Okay. Now it's okay. Ashok, please continue.
No, he has finished, sir.
Yes, finished. Actually, I had invited Rakesh Vajpayee. He just left, unfortunately. And so he, okay, before we conclude the session, Ashutosh has been made another group admin, and for maybe a month or so, I'm slightly physically indisposed. So I will try to attend all sessions. That is my commitment to myself. But Ashutosh, your name is coming as Arun Roy, obviously. So can you do something to bring this in your name? So when you appear, your name appears and not mine, Ashutosh.
Sir, I think I'll join with my account, because this session now you have made open to everyone, and whenever it is required, I'll log in through your account. For example, recording and other things, if that access is not given to anyone other than host. So I'll try and make something so that your name doesn't appear and my name appears here.
Excellent. So Ashutosh is a group admin, as we all know, and at least for next 5 weeks or so, he would be conducting. And how do I conclude it?
Sir, before you conclude, Mr. Dipankar, who had raised his hand.
Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Dipankar. Sorry, Dipankar. Thank you, Ashutosh. Dipankar, you had raised your hands. Please unmute and continue, Dipankar.
Yeah, this question is actually to Ashutosh, or maybe to all of us. Now, first thing I want to say that I really liked how he spoke. I fully agree with what he did. But I can see when it comes to calling, there are two parts. One is the calling itself, the other one is taking appropriate actions. That is ability to listen to that call. So I was just wondering, in general, if I was in the same city and a similar thing would have happened, and I was in a private organization, not in Air Force, to be specific. Or maybe he was in a private organization and not in Air Force. What he would have done and what he should have done. Is it clear? I mean, I hope...
I understand your point, sir. So, not exactly in a similar situation, but I have worked in private organization after I quit. I was in IBM for seven years.
Okay.
And the situations which I faced were not exactly the way, the kind of situation that I faced here, because I had teams spread all over. And I did few things. It will be too much of self-praise or kind of thing if I keep talking about such things. But
you speak well.
I can tell only this much, that my bosses in US, they were surprised that somebody can do like this.
Okay.
and he said that the other comment that I received was, why do you assign so much of so much of importance to individuals?
Okay.
Like I joined as a senior program manager. I was heading the automation team in North America while being in India in IBM. So there were a few things where I used to individually concentrate on the program managers or project managers and get into their issues, what is the problem. And then my boss would say that, why are you doing that? Our objective is to get the results, to get the output. Now you have to make sure that this happens. So I had to tell him, I'm used to working in this way. I deal with individuals, I deal with human beings. So I have to get into his situation. I cannot get into his shoes, but I have to find out that why or what are his difficulties, what are the problems. But then I know that I am skirting the question which you asked, that the exact situation which I had narrated, what I would have done in a private situation. Probably I would go back to what my friends had done, not me, in BIT Mesra, in the train to save a life. Probably something like that I would have done. That is what.
Right. I think so. I like both the parts of your answer. The first part is you wanted to say that you get driven very strongly when the call comes. And the second part, you said there is always an alternative.
Right. Thank you.
And the choice is yours. And the choice is, we make the choices.
Right.
Sarita ma'am, we all would have loved to hear from you. And I'm sure next time, actually, personally speaking, Sarita ma'am, I have no problem in being emotional in front of everybody. I mean, all my life, when I was maybe heading an organization, if I was emotional, I shared my emotions with everybody. Of course, everybody doesn't have to follow exactly what I did. So personally, I do not believe there is, and in the group, I think I can speak for everybody. We have some things in common. We are all from very, very, very diverse background, as diverse as it could be. But there are few things without sharing verbally, we share. So next time you or somebody becomes emotional, just let it be. I mean, it's okay. No, it's okay. But get on. Please speak what you want to speak. Please share you want to speak, what you want to share.
So after I read that chapter, then I thought, okay, this is what I was missing.
Sarita ma'am, just 1 second of interruption. We would like to wrap it up in 5 minutes, at the most 3-4 minutes. Be aware of that and please speak whatever you want to speak in the next 4 minutes. Please go ahead.
So after reading, then I thought, okay, that is what I was missing. This is what I was looking for. And so I started exploring, and I still have to find my calling, tell you the truth. I don't know exactly what I want to do. I do like to work with children. And so one of my option is to work and go in orphanages and work with children who don't have parents. So maybe that is my calling. I don't know yet. But I do like the idea to work with children, bring them home over the weekends. If I cannot keep them with me, at least we can give them some time, happy time, so they can remember part of the life, which is good, because I think I can give them hope. So maybe that is my calling. I don't know yet. But children have always, I have always have love for children.
Good, ma'am. Khalid Khan is joined. Khalid, just because I want you to be seen by everybody. So please unmute yourself, Khalid, come in. Maybe for a minute or so you can talk about yourself. Khalid Khan? Colonel Khalid Khan? I just saw him. Okay, when he comes, I shall. Sarita ma'am, I think I had shared with you once, and I'm sharing again, T.S. Eliot, between the idea and the action falls the shadow. Now, I'm not being detrimental or even derogatory to it. Obviously, I cannot be. Between the idea and the implementation, action falls the shadow. Most of us are in that shadow region for most of the time. Shirish Chaudhary talked about it, Chintan talked about it, Ashutosh talked about it. So next time, perhaps we can take it up for 15 minutes. To my mind, this is very, very important. Once you have that idea in your mind, once you want to do something, what is it that is preventing us from actually doing it, and what can we do? This is what we shall share. What can we do to bridge the gap between the idea and the actual activity? Maybe Chintan can talk about it, maybe Dipankar can talk about it, Jhaji can talk about it, or Shirish Chaudhary will talk about it. That Shirish Chaudhary was, I mean, I am professor at 72, he had nothing to look forward, still he did. So that would help us more than perhaps this. So what would help us? Let us share what prevents us from doing what we want to do. Like Dipankar said, maybe the corporate life laws are not same as Air Force. So in corporate you cannot do, Air Force you can do. Idea is to do it. Idea is not to find reasons why we cannot do it. If you find one reason, there will be 100 reasons popping up. Let us take that maybe next 15 to 30 minutes in the next class. That if there is something bugging you, if there is a kira, using Mani's terminology, if something that you sincerely want to do, what stops us and how can we remove that stopping? After that, Shirish sir will speak whatever he has to speak. I think we have concluded the session on a very positive note as usual. Ashutosh, with your permission, can we sign off? Unless you want to add something.
Sir, all yours, sir. And I have your questions in mind. Maybe sometime later I'll answer your questions. I do have answers, but
so
it
next time,
requires a lot of...
Sorry, Ashutosh, please remind me if I forget. Although I'm writing it down, next time Sarita ma'am will take over. Rajchandra Jha will take over.
Okay.
If somebody else, whose name I've forgotten, maybe Kanaklata will take over. And once we come to some kind of a conclusion, then Dr. Shirish Chaudhary will start. That will be our next session's roundabout program. Roundabout.
Perfect. Okay. Perfect. So next session we'll have next Sunday, same time, right?
And the same link, right? You don't have to keep on sending the links again and again, right?
Yeah, I send it because I think that people sometimes they do need it, they don't have it handy, so I just send it. So I'll not require.
No,
send it.
keep on sending. Khalid Khan he just appeared and disappeared. Khalid Khan is a batchmate. He retired as a colonel and now he's helping the government of Jharkhand to fight terrorism in the state. He's training the police officers there. So maybe if you like to, so that will be our program roundabout. So Ashutosh, I mean, you can sign off from your end.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I'll stop the call.
Thank you very, very much. Just one last time, Sarita ma'am, I had told you, if more than 12 or 13 people join, that will be a huge supplement and complement to the group. These are the people who want to be here. And let us communicate among ourselves. Let us not bother about who is there or who is not there. Let us talk about who is there. We are there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.